a summary of the Institute of Pastoral Care, it's really synonymous with a summary of the very beginnings of CPE. It started really with the pioneering work of Anton Boyson at Worcester State Hospital, and the leadership of Richard Clark Cabot, a Unitarian physician, was never kind of formalized until 1944, when it was incorporated under the name of the Institute of Pastoral Care.
The council had its office in New York City, whereas the Institute was in Boston, so they understandably became known as and were referred to as the Boston and New York groups. They were joined early on by the Lutheran Advisory Council on Pastoral Care.
The Lutheran certifying organization at the time of the merger was the LUCUSA. Prior to that, it had been the National Lutheran Council Division of Welfare. There were probably about over 20 supervisors who came through the Luther Seminary system who were certified during the decade or so prior to the merger.
There were representatives of the Southern Baptist Association engaged in these periodic conversations, though as an organization, they became what was eventually known as the Southern Baptist Association of Clinical Pastoral Educators.
By 1957, Southern Baptist leaders recognized that there were other groups in the field, and in order to legitimate and get more recognition of their expertise in the movement, they formed the Southern Baptist Association of Clinical Pastoral Educators in 1957.
Now, when other groups came along, like the group in New York, they saw this clinical training as not so much something that had to be done by seminaries. In fact, they wanted to see it outside where they could, I guess, control it more and decide its own agenda.
We began with a standards document. Its focus was on the certification of the ACPE supervisor who would oversee programs of clinical pastoral education. I think that document, out of the Committee of 12, made it possible for the ACPE Incorporated to come into existence.
We thought we could bring something to the new organization. We thought we would get a lot from the new organization. The cross-fertilizations, the new kinds of fellowships that we would have. We came out of an organization that was all white male Protestant and primarily Lutheran. And so we did look forward to the cross-fertilization, the opportunity to grow together with other people. We were trying to get new ideas and new approaches.
I think there was great anticipation in terms of the development of the profession as a whole, in mutual learning, in program development, in centers across the country, and in the enhancement of ministry in a variety of settings that were at that point underserved.
What the Institute wanted to be sure was that there were common standards that would be kept in all programs, and that it grow as a true professional organization.
There were some concerns, there were different emphases, and perhaps concerns for some, but the interpersonal relationships had engendered enough trust that I really had no major concern.
There was concern on the part of the council about whether there might be a loss of identity, and that the losses might be greater over time than the gains.
Would we maintain our church identity? Would we continue to recognize that clinical pastoral education is also theological education, and that we are in fact a function of the church?
As it turned out, that was not at all the reality. The gains from the merger, what we could accomplish together as contrasted with what was possible on a solo basis, made the merger all the more important.
It was also a cross-fertilization of programs and philosophies and methodologies and structures and outcomes. And I think that whole process permeated a better association and certainly a more nationally recognized association as the accrediting agency for clinical pastoral education in this nation. And it's still the case.
Probably the most powerful thing is the diversification.
It was the ecumenicity of this movement, of bringing together clergy and professors across all kinds of denominational lines. I don't think I had ever rubbed elbows with a Lutheran minister before. Certainly I could hardly imagine rubbing elbows with a Roman Catholic priest if I was doing my ministry. All of us from different theological backgrounds and policy backgrounds in together to focus on the needs of persons.
I think that even that we have been able to reach beyond just the Christian community in our methodology is a real tribute to who we have been and developed as ACPEs.
What am I most proud of? What is the single most accomplishment for the association? That's a tough one. For me, I think the foremost reality is the development over time of an experiential, or if you will, relational model of learning in a variety of settings in which service and learning are inseparably linked.
My hope for the future is that we will enhance SES programs and that we will certify more and more ACPE supervisors. If we don't create future generations of outstanding, excellent ACPE supervisors, the ACPE Incorporated is out of business.
I hope that the emphasis we have continue and the interreligious aspect of CPE continues to grow, and that we continue to refine what Charles E. Hall talked about as being our task of really working with the head and the heart, that we might better serve people.
That we would become more successful than we have been in refining and simplifying and humanizing our certification process.
That we continue in the years ahead as a movement based upon the concept of the living human document, in which the patient is the primary teacher and the pastoral educator and fellow students are, if you will, colleagues in Quest.